Hi, I'm Harry Stegall. Many of you have seen my training videos on YouTube and other sites, but this information today is directed at school commandants, directors of training, instructors that have anything to do with fatal assaults, officer survival, officer safety, but more particularly traffic stops. Now, I base my information to you today on an incident that happened to me a long time ago, let's just say. And it rang a bell with me that was never unrung. And I've told this story literally thousands of times. I've told it in classroom settings for rookie schools. I've told it at in-service schools. I've told this story to basic law enforcement training that is a broad scope of police officers, and I've told this story one-on-one. And I'm not naive enough to believe that everyone that I've told this story to gets the full magnitude of what it's all about. So what I've done is I've developed a training exercise that will come as part of this that will help ring that bell and plant some information in a young officer's mind that will remind him or her how serious traffic stops or even any contact with the public may be. Now let me bring you up to date on my particular scenario. One morning, 8:20 a.m., stopped the vehicle 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, nothing suspicious. As I approached the vehicle, his license tag was currently registered. He was the only occupant. He didn't make any overt moves, go to the back seat, under the seat, glove compartment, anything like that. It was just what appeared to be a normal stop, nothing alarming. Asking for his driver's license, he produced a valid set of license. I told him that since he was an out-of-state motorist, he was going to have to follow me down to the magistrate's office and post bond, since back then we didn't have the reciprocal agreements, and he just nodded his head. As I turned to step away from the vehicle, the bell rang, and it changed my life forever. And this is the bell that I want to ring with these new students, especially the ones that are out here to begin making their first vehicle stops. Three things happened that morning. First of all, as I turned back when he said, "Hey," he aimed a .380 semi-automatic pistol at me out the window, and it appeared that he was holding that gun on me for 20 to 30 seconds, when in fact he raised it, pointed at me, and began to fire. My mind was telling me that this was a long-term process. It was going very slow, and the longer I looked at it, the bigger the barrel got. So before he pulled the trigger the first time, that barrel looked like a wash tub hanging out the window. He also fired 5 times into my chest and neck. As he fired each shot, it seemed like there was 15 or 20 seconds between each shot, when in fact the whole encounter took less than 3 seconds. He produced the gun and began to fire bam, 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 that quickly. Then, again in slow motion, I looked down to see if I was hit. And briefly, it looked like nothing was wrong. And then all of a sudden, the blood began to fly. This changed my approach to traffic stops, violator contact, any kind of information exchange that I had with anyone from then on. And this is what I'm trying to get across to these young officers. So my exercise goes like this. First of all, it has to be one-on-one. If you let the entire class watch, then it'll be nothing more than a story. Only one person, one officer, one trainee will get the full benefit of what I'm trying to relate to them. So it has to be one-on-one. All of the other students are isolated. You'll need a police vehicle with a light and a siren. The student should be wearing his or her training weapon, handcuffs, to to make it as real as possible. And they should not have had any training on traffic stops whatsoever, so they will have no idea what to expect. Now, the reason this is so important is we all know that 6 months to a year after most officers are out in the road, they've made hundreds of traffic stops, almost nothing has happened, and they become lackadaisical, they become complacent. They begin to pre-qualify the stop before they ever get to the car. Well, he's got on a tie. He doesn't look like he would be a bad person. He's driving a nice vehicle. He doesn't look like he would be a person to hurt me. She looks like an older woman. She's got gray hair. You can't do that. You have to treat every violator as if he is going to kill you. So that's the purpose of having no training whatsoever, so that you relax this officer completely, so that they haven't got anything going through their mind that they may call on or recall as they begin their approach. So, the instructor's in the front seat with the student, you're driving along, you're following hopefully an unmarked vehicle or a civilian vehicle, either in a parking lot or hopefully you have a driving facility or wherever. You don't have to be going fast. The instructor just tells the student, okay, activate your lights and sound your siren. And he does, and of course the vehicle knows to pull over. And while he's in there behind the vehicle, the student may say, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. That's when the instructor says, just go up there, get his driver's license, say, I'll be right back, come back to the patrol vehicle, and we'll go from there. Again, what you've done is you've created an undangerous atmosphere for this officer to move through. So he or she gets out of the vehicle and starts up there with no fear in mind of being hurt. As the trainee student gets to the front vehicle of the police car, that's when the driver of the other vehicle exits and points some type of weapon at the student and holds it for 1 or 2 seconds, so that the student gets the full value of how that gun barrel is going to expand as they look at it. Then, loaded with blanks, the driver of the other vehicle lowers the gun towards the student and fires 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times whatever ammunition he's got in the gun. And the student now gets the full effect of standing there watching the muzzle flash, hearing the gunfire in person, like they've never heard it before, and hopefully they'll never hear it again. The next thing the student will do, I promise you, is he'll look down, he or she will look down to see if they're hit. That's when the instructor in the patrol vehicle steps out, blows a whistle, and says, okay, exercise is over. Now, the student will have some questions. The instructor merely says, look, hold your questions, everything's fine, you did what I told you to do, come on back. And then you take that student to an area and isolate him away from the rest of the class. That way there's no chance to say, oh man, I was following this car and the guy got out and shot me and all that. You don't want that to happen. You want this to be a complete surprise for every student. Now, I know this may take some time depending on how many students you have, but this is the most important bell you can ring for them, because if it's ever rang in real life, it may be that they're dead. So I'm trying to get it to where the bell is rang and they see everything but the blood. And it will stay with them, hopefully, for the rest of their career. Now, as everyone finishes, the instructor comes back in the classroom and he or she may say, congratulations, you were all killed on your first traffic stop. And they'll, wow, I guess we were. And then you put your spin and twist on it and take it from there as to officer safety, officer survival, what they should do. But the whole point of the exercise is to let that student see what it looks like when someone exits a vehicle that they have no idea that it's about to come, what that gun barrel looks like as they stare it down, and what the muzzle flash looks like as it's fired, and what the sound of the gun is as they think they're being assaulted. Now, if you can't put this into exercise with all of your students, consider doing 5 students, and then at a later date let them evaluate what this meant to them based on the training that they normally receive in your academy as time goes on, to see if this is what you need to put into your training program. I hope that nothing like this ever happens to anyone, but let's face the facts. The threat is out there. If I can be of service to you in any way, shape, or form, my telephone number is on the website. Please don't hesitate to call. Be safe. Thank you.